What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are here for a deck profile with Andrew. And Andrew, what are you playing?
Playing Mutants, as usual.
Very, very good. Not playing Thunder. We're playing pure Mutants, playing Control.
Yes.
Did very well, surprisingly, in the Quarantine Cup.
Yeah, did pretty well. Stuck with it. Probably other decks could have played, but just been having a blast with it, so why not?
Earl, it was going good, so why not stop playing?
Yeah, exactly.
Why stop playing? I guess is the way you say that sentence.
Well, we took it to the top 4, and and even then I think it went to game 3 still, so yeah, it was good.
Yes, let's take a series record.
Cool. So, pretty standard stuff. SD46 searches spells and traps. MO5 searches your monsters. Always 3 ofs, because it's just what you need to open. 1 of each of your bricks. Whenever you open one of these, it's pretty sad, but it's especially sad when you open Beast, but not worth running multiple Beast. I think that just makes bricks even worse. It's like running 2 drivers with Gammas. That, however, may change when we get the OCG support, because that card kind of changes how the deck plays a lot.
Okay.
3 Shifter. Shifter's awesome in almost every matchup. However, moving into Flunderee's format, where there's a huge representation happening, I may reconsider this in the main. As good as it is, obviously it doesn't hurt that deck, so we'll see how that goes.
Our locals is very heavy on Flunderees at the moment now.
Speaking of which, the latest edition is 3 main deck Drolls. Drolls are always, good most of the time, but especially against Flunder, which seem to have a million things that search, including prosperities, dualities, and all their monsters. So
everything says search.
Yeah, this says buy me a turn. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to spells. So triple Extrav. With the back row heavy variant, I prefer this. I also don't have prosperity, so I probably would run prosperity over this for Haddam, but Extrav's really good too, especially with mutants. Everything goes neg kind of, so having a deck card that goes plus is fine. And as long as you build your extra deck around it, it's fine. 2 Retailing, which has made this deck a lot better.
Yeah, a lot of consistency.
Yeah.
You seem to always open it.
And the interaction between these is amazing. So doing, I'm sure some people are aware, but if you're not, do your emergency teleport in the draw phase. Not only does it play around Droll and lock board, so summon MO5, search SD46. You then wait until then, and then you can move to the main phase and still use your extravagance. Not only have you deck thinned, but it hasn't had any sort of conflict, so it's good. Then we move to our 1-of, so 1-of field spell. 1 or 2 is correct, and this is fine, but I find it can definitely brick at multiples, and I never seem to want to use it more than once or twice in a game, and you can recur it through certain ways, so I think 1's fine. 1 Mutant Fusion, that's pretty standard. Though sometimes I wish I ran this more. It is a really good card, but it's also sometimes not. 1 Call By, because it's amazing.
Reasons.
Then we move on to a trap, so 3 Imperm. So this is, I guess you could say, like your 9th hand trap, really. And then What? We're recording! Can you splice that? Or?
Yeah, we'll keep moving.
No.
They wanted a ruling, and I don't know why.
Yeah. So we've got, that's your, 9th hand trap. Then we go triple expansion, because you kind of need to see it. Now, I wish this was like a quick play spell or a continuous spell, but, it has some fun shenanigans. Your triple cry, of course, that's all pretty standard. Triple strike, once again, in a control build, more than fine.
We play control cards in control build.
True. The win condition of the deck, realistically, in most matchups.
This card puts in so much work.
Yeah. And then, it's worst case is you get a match where it's not really relevant, and then you side it back out. Yeah. That's fine.
Yes.
Double torrential. This card's fine at 0, 2, or 3. 1's obviously never correct, but I find 2's fine. Like, it's just another thing to do with the trap trick. And, you pair that with macro, for example, which is our next one. That's always very, very good. So the other power 1-of, so you got your macro, your order, and your trap trick.
Okay. Reasons why the 1 trap trick? Just trying to keep it to 40, or?
Generally, though, I just moved it to 43 with the extra droll and locks, but a similar principle to the field spell. It is a powerful card that does a lot of stuff for the deck, but it's also absolutely horrendous to see in multiples, like especially with trap trick's own restriction on it. Not only hard once per turn, but stopping the effects for the rest of the turn. So seeing 2 of them just does absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Definitely want to see 1.
And with a deck that needs some consistency to try and do some things, there's not as really many 1-card combos, so to speak. So it's just minimizing the chance to brick. So with 1 field spell, 1 of that. they're there, but also they're out of the way.
Understandable.
So 43 in the main. I was running 40, but I've added the drolls in. I might cut other stuff. We'll see how we go.
Okay.
So for the extra, obviously 3 Ultimates and 3 Synthesis. Now this is your Extrav ratios, of course. If you weren't running Extrav, you could get away with smaller ratios, even 2 and 1. But you definitely want to have all of them for there.
Would you consider Prosper in this build, or would you just reside to the whole Extrav is better in a control deck?
No, they're both got their valid points for sure. Like Prosperity, it's always a situation, right? Like if I open half decent, Extrav is better because you just keep going with resources.
Yeah.
But if I've opened dog shit, then Prosperity can be the difference between I'm bricking that hand or not.
Yeah.
But also, once again, I usually lean more towards Extrav once again because unlike your usual top tier decks, you can't just go off of one card. Like MO5 by itself is not full combo, right? It's just one search.
Yeah.
So I think Prosperity holds a little bit less value in this deck than it's often portrayed, but they're still very good. 1 Entus, I used to run it at 2, but I kind of cut it for certain spaces. It's kind of just there for Maximus, and that doesn't seem to come up a lot these days, so yeah.
Everyone's scared of Maximus now.
Yeah. 2 Stardust, because we run Starlight Road in the side, which is a big deal and has come up quite a few times now. For links, we got double Almirage, which is a pretty big thing, especially if you open your Mutant Fusion and your little guy gets Veiled or Gamut or anything like that. Allows you to push through. Or even better, so Veiled would be the great example. Your MO5 to search, get Veiled, okay, make an Almirage, and now it's in grave and you can get value out of Mutant Fusion, banishing that from grave and one from deck. It comes up quite a lot.
Can't even help you climb through to the next card, I think.
Yeah. Crush Sheep is your next ones as 2 of, and once again, this is ratios for Extrav.
Yeah.
If you weren't running Extrav, you'd probably run 1 of each.
Yeah.
Similar thing, that this is a very win more card. I don't go into it very often when I'm struggling for board or pushing or in a tight knit thing.
Yeah.
But it definitely helps you secure in a simplified game state. If you can end phase Fusion into Synthesis, pop something, Crush Sheep, summon MO5, M5 search 46 for next turn, like you're doing alright.
Can really help snowball some resources.
Yeah. And then these 2 spots are not necessary at all, but you've got Phoenix for some generic removal, which rarely comes up, and Verte also very rarely comes up. There's some very niche scenarios where someone activates something, gets stopped, you make this and you can send your Mutant Fusion because it's met the requirements for Mutant Fusion to go off, but not necessary. If you think about building it, don't go out of your way to buy a Verte for this deck. It's not really needed.
Yes. Do you want to show us your setup? Just
Sure.
The Starlight Roads?
Sure. So we've got triple Starlight Road with the 1 gold. This is an amazing card because as soon as anyone versus this deck, their natural instinct is, shit, back row. We side in Twin Twister, we side in Lightning Storms. That's it. I chose to run these over Judgment because I find that if you don't have a really solid board and then you Judgment for half your life points, you will get killed that turn very, very often.
Yeah.
And I also traded them out. I used to run Waking the Dragon once upon a time, but the summon off of Waking the Dragon is not worth trading off another 3 of your back row. So Starlight Road just says, hey, stops that, and also you get a free Stardust out of it. Sure.
Stardust can attack and do damage.
Yeah, exactly right. So it just does a lot of things in a deck. As I said, it's just everyone has Lightning Storms in their side deck these days. It's a great way to do that, and then you can save your Beast Negate for something else, or go from there. Then we go 2 Ice Dragon's Prison. 1, obviously it's an amazing card, and it's also usable off Trap Trick, so it's always extra synergy.
Yeah.
Skill Drain, I used to have this in the main, but I found it coming up less and less, and I found that there's just not enough matchups to justify main decking it currently.
Yeah.
And that's always something that changes. So I moved it back to the side to fit the 3rd impermanence in the main. New edition, we added 3 droplets to the side as well. It just seemed to be that there was just too many situations where this would fix my problem, like for example staring down a Dragoon MO5 search, chain Dragoon. So what would normally happen is I just get my MO5 removed and negated, nothing goes forward. With this, obviously, not only would you still get to resolve the search, so if it was ST46, you can search the Mutant Fusion. It also negated the Dragoon and that in the same token. So card's worth a lot of money for a reason. It's really good. 2 Lightning Storm, just because you might verse someone else who runs a lot of back row. Same with the 1 Feather Duster, and then triple Nip because it's Nip.
Yes, perfect. Do you have anything to say before we leave you?
Deck's fun, but Flunderies is better. I'm going to play that.
Anyways, have a good afternoon, everybody.